Hey everyone, welcome back to the Grow IT podcast. And today I have the pleasure of having Rob Fegan on. And if you are a IT consulting firm or someone that looks to partner, maybe as a channel partner with Microsoft, then you are going to want to listen to this conversation. Rob is absolutely what I would call an expert in that. He has a proven methodology for how you can learn to sell with Microsoft and build a business. And I'm grateful to have him on today. Welcome, Rob.
Hey, Terrence, I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, listen, let's talk a little bit about. Give us maybe a quick overview on your background and your entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, so I have been in the Microsoft partner ecosystem for coming up on 20 years now. So it's been a while, and I've been both as an individual contributor. I've worked on the marketing side of businesses, and then I've started a Microsoft partner. I co founded a Microsoft partner back in 2015. So I've seen it all from all different directions. And now I work with partners to coach them on how to work with Microsoft.
So tell me what that's like in terms of building a business with Microsoft as a partner, just like on a from a high level viewpoint.
Yeah, I mean, as you expect, I mean, Microsoft is massive. I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of employees in it. There's just all kinds of different ways to approach Microsoft and to work with Microsoft. So it can be really overwhelming if you don't understand, what you're bringing to the table as a partner and how to connect inside of Microsoft to really elevate your brand, elevate your position within Microsoft. And at the end of the day, everybody wants leads from Microsoft. That's the holy grail of working with Microsoft is that they feel like, oh, I'll sign up as a partner and all of a sudden like leads will be raining down from heaven. And I can tell you that is not the case.
So tell us about a little bit about what you have seen. Obviously, I want your core offering in terms of your own business in Venvito is exactly that, right? Helping your clients, with a proven methodology and kind of navigating the system. But maybe let's start there. Kind of talk to us about your, core offer, and then we can kind of get more into depth and into what your prospects are doing.
Sure, sure. So, throughout the last 20 years, I've really been able to sort of operationalize working with Microsoft, and I've broken it down into four key components. The first component, and probably the one that gets overlooked most often, is messaging. What is your superpower? What is the thing that you do better than anybody else that you'll go toe to toe with anybody? And I understand it. Just like when I was running a partner, we did multiple different things, but there were a few things that we were just amazing at. And so we built a message around that and went to Microsoft with that sort of superpower, as I call it. And that set us apart in terms of, okay, Microsoft knew where to put us, sort of could have a Rolodex moment of, oh, I've got a customer that has that problem, or I have a customer that, would need that solution. So that was the first thing that we focused on was really around the messaging and your superpower. But then the next big thing that is probably the biggest challenge for partners is alignment. So, depending on who you talk to, there are 35,000-ish quota carrying salespeople inside of Microsoft. So it is a enormous team of sellers. And those sellers are all supported by technical specialists. So really understanding how to align with that group. And then they use a process called or solution sales or solution selling. And so you want to understand how do you align or how do we align as a partner with Microsoft sales motions? And they're broken down. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but they're broken down into those six core components or six core designations. And that really is important to understand that so you can align with the right people inside of Microsoft. So that's the first two there. And any questions on that before I move on to
No, I was
the
just going to say, I was just going to jump in. To me, we, obviously we're on the, biz dev and marketing side for IT
Mhm.
consulting firms. And so often we talk about those first two, the messaging and the alignment. And they're just
Yeah,
so critical and important, right? Because you go out to the marketplace with a shotgun, you're not going to knock them all dead, right? The more that you can, really dial that message to what you're good at, right? And
right.
that will help you almost, like put some grease on there in terms of aligning with who is going to hear that message.
Yeah, and now here's an interesting statistic that will highlight that is that depending on again who you talk to, there's roughly 400,000 to 410,000 Microsoft partners. So there is a massive number of partners, and you can imagine that all of those partners want time with the Microsoft sellers. So put yourself in the shoes of a Microsoft salesperson, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I can do anything. I can do modern work. I can do security. I can," and they just go on and on and on. You will not, that is not a memorable message. You will be forgotten because the next partner is going to get on the call with them and they'll be like, they'll either do the same thing or they'll have a razor sharp message and they'll be like, oh my goodness, I know where you should introduce you. And that's the kind of power that having a strong message can have. So
I
I
agree.
love the fact that you pointed that out, and that is
So
so.
let's talk about the other two, the remaining two
Sure,
pillars
sure.
there.
So the next pillar is really about operationalizing Partner Center. So every partner, every Microsoft partner is going to be familiar or will have to be familiar with Microsoft Partner Center. And that's sort of the engine for collaborating with Microsoft behind the scenes. So that is how you connect to customers. It's how you send referrals to Microsoft, get referrals from Microsoft. There's a component called the marketplace. So if you have an offer you're listing to the market, it needs to be listed in Marketplace, which is part of Partner Center. And then most importantly, there's a solution designation for your systems integrator type partners. You can be designated as a modern work partner, a security partner, a data and AI partner, and there's a number of Azure designations. But you earn those designations inside a partner center. So it's really critical that you understand that third component is operationalizing partner center and really leveraging it to your advantage. So that's number three. And then number four is all about co-selling. So this is where people want to jump right to. They want to be like, I want to just co-sell with Microsoft. And I'm like, well, there's a few things you should probably get done before we do that. Because
need
again,
need to crawl before you run type of thing.
exactly. And I will say that the co-sell is, when you get to co-sell, you are running and you're running full speed. But you have to have built the infrastructure, have to have a sound message, have to know who you're working with, have to have operationalized your partner center before you can jump in and really start effectively co-selling with Microsoft. So those are the four components or the four sort of success criteria that I've outlined in the 20 years of working with Microsoft. And when you repeat those, which I've done both as an individual contributor with my own company and working with other partners, now coaching them, we go through these four different stages and phases so that they see that how they build on each other.
So, question for you. So, like if I'm a prospect, or even maybe you can reflect on some of your clients, when they're coming to you, what are kind of their pain points? Have they tried to partner with Microsoft and failed? Are they looking to, are proficient in a business aspect that is a Microsoft, offering that they're trying to leverage that to grow their own business? Maybe talk about what are those kind of the prospect pain points that you see from folks that come in and talk to you.
Yeah, let's start with the customers that are already working with Microsoft, but know that they can do more. So, whether you're doing $5 or $10 million in services and a majority of that is Microsoft, you realize that, look, there's a ton of opportunity for us to grow with Microsoft. We've got other offers we can bring to the table, but they just don't know how to do it. And I tell you that almost universally I hear is, I don't know who to talk to inside of Microsoft, or Microsoft never calls me back, or I don't get funding. I don't have the ability to collect funding or leverage funding from Microsoft. And then my other personal favorite is I don't have a partner development manager. And to me, those are just excuses. I'm like, and I understand you have to be shown the way sometimes, but there's no funding, there's no partner development manager that can prevent you from really creating a great cadence with Microsoft. It's just understanding the who to talk to, the how to talk to them, and most importantly, the what's in it for them. I mean, that's the thing that I think a lot of partners miss is they talk about here's how great we are, here's what we do, here's all the things I offer. It's like, well, I'll tell you what Microsoft really wants to hear. What can you do for me? What's in it for me to work with you? And that at the end of the day is, I think, a part of the message that people really miss is that, you're not growing because Microsoft doesn't see the value you bring yet. even though you may know you do great projects, you deliver on time, you deliver on budget, you deliver high quality work, if you're not sharing that with Microsoft, they don't know. You're just another person in the 100 or 400,000 partner line. So,
We talk about that. That's why I'm smiling so much. We talk about that with our, prospects and our clients all the time, right? I mean, we're typically working with IT consulting firms in between, let's call it 5 and 20 million.
yeah,
And, we talk about their ability, whether it's a Microsoft or Microsoft like partner, let's call it, right? Is
yeah,
that, to that approach of going to the market and saying, you need to go out to the market and say, what can I do for them? Like, what's in it for them? If you focus on what's in it for them, then trust me, you won't have to worry about what's in it for you. But
right.
to think that they didn't become the 800-pound gorilla and that they're all of a sudden going to be like, oh, we're going to choose you to all of a sudden, to make it rain for is just
Right.
not rational. And so the sooner that you can go out and figure out a way to make it in their best interest,
Yeah.
then the rest will follow. That's why I think it's such an interesting paradigm, because so many folks that partner with these largest companies, to your point, think, oh, the leads are just going to rain in. I'm now an official Microsoft partner and it's just going to
Yeah.
rain on me.
Right. Yeah. You and 399 other thousand partners are the official Microsoft partners. So, yeah, no, I love that. It is so important to understand what value you bring to Microsoft. And I mean, it doesn't even have to be overly complex. And people think, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? How am I going to add value? It can be as simple as making introductions. So if you've got relationships that you have that Microsoft doesn't have, there's a great lever to pull. If you have an offer or a service that's relevant to Microsoft and that's something unique that they can talk to about their customers, as salespeople, just like us, they're looking for reasons to talk to their customers. So have something relevant that the Microsoft seller can bring to their customer or that you can bring to their customer. And then obviously, as maybe not obvious, but if you've got revenue opportunities, share it with Microsoft. Let them know what you're doing. Bring them into the fold, even if you don't need their help, just letting them know that you're going down the path of promoting the Microsoft platform, or you're, let's pick on Teams as an example. You've got a big opportunity with Teams, or you've got devices you can sell with Teams. Letting the Microsoft seller know that you're doing that, it's so important to them. They can, they've got a pipeline just like you and I, and they have to report up to their sales management teams. And if they can use you as a lever to show additional revenue, I mean, that's a win for everybody right there.
Yeah. And speaking of wins, let's hear some success stories. Everyone loves to hear the success stories, right? Because you have this proven methodology that works, right? Tell us about some of your clients that have done really well, that have substantially grown their business. I would assume that's probably their main goal, though everyone has different views of success that aren't always tripling their revenue and standing on the top of the mountain and planting a flag. But at the same time, maybe if you can tell us about a couple of success stories.
Yeah, now for me, so I always look at a success as pipeline. So one of the challenges that, my customers face is that, like all of us, all sales oriented organizations, it's all about driving pipeline and finding new avenues to drive more opportunities into our pipeline. And so whenever I'm working with a customer, and there's a customer based out of Washington, D.C., that when I first engaged with them, they were scattered at best in terms of their approach to driving pipeline. And they have an amazing practice. They do great work. They focus on a very specific market segment. And so they had clarity there, but they just didn't leverage the Microsoft engine to say, okay, how can we as a partner share with Microsoft? And I alluded to the revenue uh, discussion just a moment ago, is that, look, you're already doing these deployments for Microsoft, but you're not letting them know. We need to use Partner Center to interact with Microsoft and share this. And so Microsoft started to see, oh my goodness, all of a sudden, they're seeing deals come from the partner, and they're turning around saying, well, here's the rest of my account list. Show me what you can do there. So they've shared account lists and given us an opportunity to go prospect onto their account lists and give us more direction around, the sales motions that they're after, the solution plays that they want to run with those customers. And so now it's a two-way street. It's no longer just them trying to get on Microsoft's radar. It's Microsoft saying, hey, we'd like on your radar. We'd like to leverage your sales team to start to help us create opportunities. So that's probably one of the most recent wins, is to see that shift from its no interaction to all of a sudden, hey, can you do some selling for us and with us? So
So
that's one of
let
the
me
big.
ask you:
Sure.
was some of that, in terms of your pillars, some of the messaging, some of the alignment, some of the the cadence part? I mean, is it just a combination, or is it just again, like anything, like if you pull all those things together, just make it a focus, right, and put it as part of your your business cadence, that good things will happen.
It wasn't one thing. It's not just one thing. It really is bringing it all together, having a clear message so that when this partner went to Microsoft, Microsoft understood exactly where they fit. They fit in that sort of 250 to 1,000 employees and located on the Eastern Seaboard. That's their sort of niche area, both in terms of size and geographic location, because they can support them. They've got bodies there to help. And so they were clear on that. We were able to articulate that to Microsoft. And more so, they were very much focused on the modern work stack. So they're not trying to be everything to everybody. They have a modern work practice and they have a power platform practice. So we said, okay, let's get very clear on that. So we don't need to worry about the Azure infrastructure sellers. We don't need to worry about the dynamic sellers. What we need to worry about is, are we getting our message in front of the right people? So the people that care about modern work and the people that care about Power Platform. Other than that, let's not waste our time or their time trying to convey a message that's just not going to land. So we got clear on that. We got clear on our engagement strategy, and we used a combination of direct reaching out through social media and LinkedIn specifically,
Yeah,
where
very powerful.
connect with these people on LinkedIn, support their content, get on their radar through what they're already doing. They're already reaching out. You don't need to be cold calling them if they're out there on LinkedIn. You've got a way to sort of elevate yourself and become more familiar through a social media strategy. And so we put all those things in place, and then we said, look, here's how we're going to help you. Here's the value we're going to bring. So for those accounts that you haven't penetrated, we'll put our prospectors onto those accounts. We'll find ways in. And for the accounts where we're already selling, here's what we're doing. Here's who we're talking to. Can I share with you introductions? Can I make introductions for you so you know the same people we're talking to? So it was taking pieces of all the different pies and leveraging Partner Center. So every time we start a new sales opportunity, are we putting that in as a referral so that Microsoft sees not only on the field sales team, but in Microsoft's Global Partner Solutions Group, they see us as a partner making an impact. So we're making an impact on the partner group and on the field team. So it's really pulling pieces from all the different areas.
And I'm laughing a lot because or smiling because a lot of the same things that you're talking about, we talk about with our clients as well. It's the main, fundamentals, kind of blocking, tackling of marketing, go to market, sales strategies, etc. You just, specific to a partner like Microsoft, and it's just we're not talking rocket science here, but at the same time, it's proven methodology and just doing the work that gets it done, which
It
is
is. I mean, it's the tactics and the fundamentals, getting really great at the fundamentals, getting consistent at the fundamentals. And to your point, there's no magic bullet. I don't have a silver bullet. I'm not going to come here and wave a wand and people are just going to start getting leads. It's like, no, we're going to do the work. We're going to work through the process. The process is very straightforward. You just have to commit to it. You have to commit to integrating those processes into your organization and make them just part of your everyday work. And if you do that and you do it consistently over time, it pays off. I mean, the partner that I co-founded back in 2015, 2016, it started slow. We didn't have some magic, rain of leads coming in on us. We had to work for, it was a good solid year before we really got recognized for what our superpower was. And part of that was because it took us time to get really clear on our messaging and really align with the sales team. And, there's a joke inside of Microsoft is that every June 30th, it all changes anyway. So don't worry about it, which it's Microsoft's fiscal year end
right.
and there is an account movement, but lately it's been less movement of people. So But if you have that message and you know the types of people you want to align with, even when Microsoft does move things around, you still know the right roles that you want to go after. You want to connect with them. You have a process, and they'll see that quickly. They'll see that, okay, you understand how to work with us. You understand how to leverage programs. Understand how to take a customer through the buyer's journey. We'll work with you. If they see that value. So.
But you just mentioned the June 30th, right, which is the end of their fiscal, I'm paraphrasing the way you said it, but just kind of stick around and wait for the change that comes around on June 30th. And I guess my question is obviously every company has different initiatives and focus areas
Mhm.
each year, right? And
Yeah.
does it help to align your model somewhat with, if you're going to be a Microsoft partner, with some of their annual initiatives? I would think that kind of that's where they're going to put their focus, that it would make sense for you to do the same.
I would absolutely agree with that to the point up to the point where as long as it's not taking you out of your superpower. So, let's use right now. I mean, it's no secret that AI
Copilot.
Copilot and AI is the number one topic of discussion. It's a strategic initiative inside of Microsoft. And the beauty of Copilot, as an example, is no matter what type of partner you are today, you don't have to be just a data and AI partner to play this game. A modern work partner can leverage Copilot. So you need to be able to have the discussions around that topic of interest or the strategic topic for Microsoft. I absolutely agree with that. But if you're a security partner and there is some other technology coming in on Dynamics, I'm not promoting, hey, just get rid of security and go do Dynamics. I'm saying that think about how you can leverage what you do in terms of Microsoft strategic initiatives. And today, and I think for the foreseeable future, Copilot and AI will be top of mind. And that touches all the different solution designations.
Yeah, and I think we're still kind of in the wild west in terms of what that's going to look like, the impact that Copilot and AI will make. And so even just trying to find a way, to your point, to incorporate it into your offering, right? That's not, you're not jumping ship to say, great, now we're going to go out and sell Copilot, but it's trying to find a way to incorporate Copilot into your already special area of expertise, to try and get those conversations going. Because at least from the conversations I've had, and I would love to get your insight, no one really knows where it's going to go. It's obviously going to be extremely powerful in terms of our business processes, but no one really knows the impact yet. And I'd be curious as to what you're seeing. It's kind of one of the biggest trends, right? I usually talk to people, hey, what are the trends coming in IT? It's like I've stopped asking that anymore. I just ask people, what impact do you think AI and in this case
Yeah.
Copilot are going to make? But
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I think that one, if you're not having a co-pilot discussion or an AI discussion with your customers, one, you're going to be irrelevant to your customer. But two, and in my case specifically, you'll be irrelevant to Microsoft. They need partners to be having these co-pilot discussions and these AI discussions across the entire platform, not just for one part of the platform. You need to be having it across the entire platform. So if you're a modern work seller or you're a modern work partner or you focus on teams, be able to have a deep and rich discussion around Copilot in Microsoft Teams, in the modern work stack. And I think that's critical and goes back to what I said earlier about being able to bring relevant discussions to the table. If you can't have a relevant discussion, and make no mistake, Copilot is very relevant today, and it also attaches to license sales. So very clearly there's a value add for Microsoft there. So
yeah, at the very least, right? I mean, at least with the folks that I talk with, it's always about looking for additional ways to get in conversations, and clearly that
yeah,
is, that's the best path today. And it doesn't mean you have to be an expert in it. I don't think anybody is. I think that's why I call it the Wild Wild West, is because that
yeah.
no one knows where it's going to go. But at least to use that as as an entry point to have and start those conversations. Like you said, if you don't, your competitor is going to, and you will quickly be irrelevant.
Right. And it's, you talk about we don't know where it's going yet. But what we do know now is that to get ready for Copilot, there's a set of things that every customer should be thinking about in terms of just their readiness for Copilot. And so having a discussion around are you ready for Copilot? What does being ready mean? Are you talking about the security implications? Are you talking about where data lives and how it's structured? All those different conversations that you can be having today, regardless of where it's going to be a year from now. We know today that there are some things that if you do now and you start thinking about now as a partner and for your customers, that there's a lot of value in those discussions.
Yeah. Well, speaking of value, what do you consider to be your greatest value proposition in terms of when you're having conversations with prospective clients? And again, there's no magic bullet. You're not going to
Yeah.
walk them into the door of the VP of sales and marketing there and
Mhm.
have them start rating down leads. But what is your value proposition? How do you convey that to your potential clients?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And it's, one of the challenges I'm faced with is that Microsoft is so big and people are like, I don't even know where to start. And I think part of the value I try and bring is that I give you the place to start and I walk you through each one of the steps, all in service of driving pipeline. Because at the end of the day, my goal is to help you drive more pipeline. And I do that through those four proven steps and the four sort of phases that we walk through, going through each one of those in depth so that it makes sense and it's custom to you as a partner. And at the end of the day, once the sales team is utilizing those processes, they're creating those relationships. That's where the pipeline comes from. It's through the relationships that they build with the individuals inside of Microsoft. And it's giving them the process to follow is really where the value comes from.
What do you see as some of the growth challenges that some of your clients probably experience once they figure out the formula, once they've figured out their cadence, their business cadence of how to be a true Microsoft partner? What are some of the other challenges that they see in their business?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I think that you'll see lots of different challenges depending on the partner. It can be challenges faced in marketing and nurturing relationships. There can be challenges in terms of just straight up growth challenges. Finding the right people to, as you scale, fill the sales team, fill the operations team, fill the support team. So there can be all the traditional challenges of growing a business but it all is centered around what I like to say is pipeline saves lives. So if you've got pipeline and the pipeline is converting, then all those challenges can be dealt with. It's really just finding a way to consistently build pipeline is my number one mission with any partner I work with.
I think I'm going to steal that from you. Again, we have, clients in similar space and, we help them build what we call client acquisition systems, but it is essentially that. It's essentially helping them to build a consistent pipeline of prospects that are coming in so they don't have to worry about where's my cash flow going to go? How do I maintain a consistent growth to my business? And driving pipeline is absolutely critical.
Yeah.
To A, to any business that wants to grow, but B, like I said, just from managing a cash flow standpoint. And I think I might steal that from you. I like that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think a lot of partners I talk to focus on revenue, and don't get me wrong, revenue is king, but it's pipeline always precedes revenue. And if you don't have a good system in place to build pipeline, then to your point, your cash flow is all over the place, revenue is unpredictable. And so for me, it's all about creating another avenue to generate pipeline consistently. And for me, that's Microsoft
Yeah.
and working with the Microsoft team. But that's not the only way. There's lots of great ways, and like the business you run in terms of generating pipeline. I think good partners are looking at all the different avenues to drive pipeline, and that's as I said, pipeline saves lives. So
Yeah, I love it. I'm going to steal it. I guess if I told you, then I guess that means I'm going to borrow it, but I'm not going to give it back. So,
fair enough.
question for it: like, what do you've obviously had a great career, and you've developed an area of expertise. What do you enjoy the most about what you do?
That's a great question. I mean, for me, it is I love solving problems. So when I get to see like, look, the problem is we're not getting any leads. Okay, let's peel back the onion. Let's find out why. And so for me, specifically with the Microsoft ecosystem, just going through and being able to say, well, have you thought about this? And are you doing that? And that to me is just so much fun. And when you see partners start to get leads from Microsoft, you see them start to book meetings. And to me, that's just super exciting. I love the feeling of it. I mean, I've a lifetime salesperson, so that winning to me is, or that
I,
is winning to me.
it's very similar. It's so funny. It's the exact same thing that I would probably respond same thing. And I love the problem solving side of it. And to me, I always approach marketing from the viewpoint of a salesperson, and that is,
Mm-hmm.
how can we help to set those meetings, to initiate those conversations. That's where it all starts, right? You can't fill a pipe, you can't drive a pipeline unless you start having conversations.
Right.
But the problem solving part is the best part. I don't think I'll ever get tired of that. And the nice part about it is that, especially businesses that are growing, there's always a problem to be fixed. There's always the next constraint.
Yeah, yeah, and I see that even with the partners that we've gone through the process, and I've re-engaged with them to start to peel back the onion on the business systems behind that to say, okay, we've got this Microsoft engine working. How else can we be more efficient? And so that's the fun part of what I do is that I touch so many different parts of the business, or working with Microsoft touches so many different parts of your business that it's really it's a treat to get to do this.
Well, you mentioned just now that the process. Can you kind of walk us through the process that a new client takes in working with you in Vivito?
Yeah, so almost 100% of the time I start with messaging
Okay.
because I want to hear from you as a partner. What do you believe your superpower is? Where do you think you differentiate yourself in the market? And it sounds very straightforward, but a lot of times people have a hard time articulating what makes them unique, what makes them different, what makes them special. And if you can't do that right out of the gate, and you can't articulate to me quickly what that is for you, then I challenge partners to say, if you can't convince me, then how are you going to convince Microsoft, right? And so I run a little test. I'm like, okay, if you think you've got it, give it to me. You've got 90 seconds to explain to me what your business does, what makes you unique, and why I should work with you. And it is a really, really tough challenge when you get presented with that. So that's where I start 100% of the time is in the messaging, because no matter where we go next, I need to know that you understand how to speak with Microsoft and you understand how to message to Microsoft. And people are like, well, here's what we do as for our customers. Like, no, Microsoft, you need to know that, or you need to be able to tell them that, but they really need to know what you do for them. So that's where we start. And then depending on where you are in your Microsoft journey, then it'll be either are we going to engage with the field next, or are we going to work on Partner Center next? And that'll depend on where they are in their journey and where they're trying to get to, because there are some times where it makes sense to start with Partner Center. Other times it makes sense to go directly to the field. And that's just unique to each partner themselves. And then universally, we go to 4 last, which is the co-sell. Because if we don't get 1, 2, and 3 done, then co-sell is
There's no
going to
use
be real.
co-selling.
Yeah, right. So yeah, there's lots of levers to pull before getting to co-sell.
Oh, cool. Well, listen, I've enjoyed this conversation. Let me ask you, if a business owner, leader is watching this today, and wondering if you can help them, drive their Microsoft partnership even further to grow their firm, what would be a good next step for them to be able to reach out to you and Vito?
Yeah, I think the easiest way is just on LinkedIn. You can hit me up there and connect with me on LinkedIn. You can book some time on my calendar right through LinkedIn, and we can have a conversation. I typically like to meet with people for about 45 minutes so we can really dig into what their problems are, what their goals are, what their pains are of working with Microsoft. And sometimes the 45 minutes isn't enough to get through the pain, but
Sometimes there's
but
more
no,
pain.
yeah,
Is that when you put
but
on your psychologist hat? All of us
right.
entrepreneurs at heart need a psychologist in our life.
Yeah, no, but LinkedIn is the best way to reach out to me there.
Okay, good. Well, I'll put those links in there, and we greatly appreciate the time today. I've learned a lot about the Microsoft ecosystem and how to leverage that, and I'll look forward to having you back again sometime.
I look forward to it, Terrence.
All
Thanks
right.
a lot.
Thanks, Rob.
Bye.